Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra and Kumasi. It's on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Clenham Radio in Bato, Kekeli Radio in Ho, A1 Radio in Bogatanga, Radio Wa in Wa, and Radio Max in Takrade. You can go digital on Spotify and myjoyonline.com app, also live on Facebook. In today's edition, nationwide shortage of polio vaccines as health facilities are unable to vaccinate babies since the last 2 months. We're live in parts of the country where the situation is impacting healthcare delivery for newborns. Also, National Road Safety Authority singles out the multimedia group for its road safety partnership, which it says has resulted in a decrease in road crashes for the first half of the year.
I must say that the media accept our gratitude and commendation for your full support, especially the multimedia, who also initiated this whole Arrive Alive campaign, followed by the Stay Alive campaign, and from our support and support of all Ghanaians, this is where we are.
We have a breakdown of the figures released by the authority today. Also, Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee says the only option to current economic woes is for government to spend within its means, as he describes a possible IMF bailout as a temporary relief.
I think this is the time to demonstrate to the whole world, as Ghanaians, we are capable of looking at our situation and saying that the things we are doing that keeps pushing us to the IMF, we will stop doing them.
We hear more as government is confident of some 1 million jobs will be created by its Youth Start program over the next 3 years in an ambitious plan. And then later in the bulletin, we begin our build-up to our latest Total Recall report, Eyes on Men's Gold.
We're dealing with people who are dying.
I nearly hung myself because that is my life.
If even I'm able to get half of this money, my brother, I'll start a new life because it's tough.
In sports,
Benjamin Azamati is hoping for a much improved time this weekend in Paris after finishing fourth in the Diamond League in Oslo.
And in our Daddy Code campaign, we hear from single fathers on the task of taking on roles mostly performed by women.
Happy Father's Day to you. You see, sometimes a woman knows how to go about everything, but me, I'm a man, so it's not easy. But it's all fun. Happy Father's Day to every man where they do everything for the family.
We have that and more in today's edition of the Midday News with me, Emefa. Apawu, thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please stay for details. We'll turn our attention to health shortly, but first, some news just in from Kumasi. There's been a major gas explosion at the Kumasi shoe factory in Atonswagogo in the Ashanti region. The gas tanker is alleged to have been discharging fuel when it caught fire. Firefighters are battling the flames as the area has been cordoned off for public safety. My colleague Kwesi Debra is there for us. He joins us on the line with more. Kwesi, tell us about how it started.
Well, Emefa, according to eyewitnesses, it started around 11 a.m. And as you rightly said, they were offloading the gas into the company cylinder and it caught fire. And this caused panic among many workers. So most of them came out, and as a result of that, about 3 people got injured. And so the fire service quickly came to their rescue. They were able to douse the flame. And we're hearing that many cars... about 2 cars have been burnt in the process. But unfortunately, we weren't able to go inside because the gas explosion and the place has been cordoned off. So, that's what happened. So, they're injured. They've been sent to the hospital. And from what we heard from them, they are responding to treatment. So, we're here monitoring the situation to see how it's being brought under control.
And I'm sure you've been getting reports as to how many persons exactly have been injured and how serious it is.
Yeah, so that's 3 people. 3 people we've had so far, and it was as a result of the stampede. And we're told that 2 have even been discharged. That's what we hear right now, that 2 have been discharged. So at least 1 person is there. There are some few bruises, and they are treating. So that's what we have to hear.
And I'm sure you've been getting some more information from authorities at the Kumasi Shoe Factory, as in what exactly their preliminary findings they say is.
No, unfortunately, we've been trying to get there, trying to talk to them, but they tell us that they are still conducting some investigations, and as and when they complete, then they can give us more information. So for now, the information is scanty, That's what we have now.
Okay, thank you very much. That's my colleague Kwesi Deborah reporting from Agogo in the Ashanti region on that incident with the shoe factory there. But let me turn our attention to health now. And this afternoon, there's a nationwide shortage of vaccines for poliomyelitis in Ghana. The infection caused by the poliovirus hit a 7-year high in 2020 when the country recorded nearly 700 new cases, up from 376 in 2014. In response, the Ghana Health Service increased its polio vaccination campaign to get more babies immunized. But the current shortage is threatening the fight against the virus, with thousands of children now predisposed to the disease. My colleague Manuel Cranting and of our health desk and Martina Bugri are on this beat for us. Let me take you to Tamale first and let's talk about the situation there. Martina, what can you report?
I got to know of this shortage 3 weeks ago when a family were making frantic efforts to either get to Wa or Bolga with their newborn to have the baby vaccinated. And so I decided to check from the health centers and kid campaigns. One after the other, I was told that and it's been for over a month. And so I got in touch with the regional health director, public health director. He confirmed that they actually had a shortage. It's very crucial for people in the northern region here haven't found some virus, polio virus in some drinks. It makes it more threatening, and parents are very worried, especially those with newborn babies. Having created the awareness of the dangers and that if you don't vaccinate your children, what can happen, parents are very worried.
So then what typically happens when mothers bring their babies to the hospitals for vaccination, for instance?
They just tell them that you go when we get some, we would let you know. And once they are still taking other vaccines, they keep hoping that by the time they are done with these ones, they would have had some stock.
Okay, that's my colleague Martina Bugri there reporting from the northern region. He's been touring some hospitals in Tamale. My colleague Manuel Cranting has been doing the same here in Accra, but the head of our health desk, Fred Smith, has a whole view of it in terms of how it looks like nationwide. He joins me in studio. Let's talk about the Greater Accra region first. What has Manuel been telling you?
Well, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital is where a lot of people go to have the babies, and at this facility, we have a situation where mothers who've just delivered or have babies who need the vaccines are told to stay away until they're able to get it. And this has gone on for about 2 months, as Martina confirmed. The understanding is that this is the situation in many parts of the country since the shortage started.
But what then will be the options for mothers with newborn babies, amongst others? We've been hearing from the Ghana Health Service.
Yes, they just have to wait. So my understanding is that the Dr. Chiano, who is in charge of vaccinations at the Ghana Health Service, is giving some information, and we'll bring that to our listeners shortly.
Okay, well, I would definitely reach my colleague Manuel Cranting also subsequently, and then hear from the Ghana Health Service on this particular situation. But that's the report we are getting across the country.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
And it takes us to our Drive Safe campaign. And road traffic accidents for the first half of 2022 have seen a significant decline as compared to same period in 2021. The success is attributed to intensified sensitization and media advocacy through campaigns. The multimedia group, especially Joy News, has been spearheading safety campaigns in its bid to reduce the carnage on our roads. Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, David Osafo Adonting, says such campaigns have contributed hugely to successes recorded so far.
We are not relenting at all on our Stay Alive campaign. We continue to engage the media, and I must thank again, I must say that the media accept our gratitude and commendation for your full support, especially the multimedia, who also initiated this whole Arrive Alive campaign, followed by the Stay Alive campaign, and from our support and support of all Ghanaians, this is where we are. And that is the good story we are telling every Ghanaian, that if we continue to engage each other, and we continue to bring up these issues of road safety, discuss it at top levels as the media granted, and we have the support from everybody, including the politicians, I am sure we can go places. So we're not going to stay aloof. Decreases in road crashes and casualties don't come by itself. It is also not by magic or by miracle. It comes as a result of a certain positive action that was undertaken. Across the world, figures on road crashes and indicators are influenced. And so there is always a deliberate action by way of intervention through education, through engineering, enforcement, and emergency response. I think that we did it to the best of our capacity using the media and social media. And so awareness creation, as I speak to you now, has arisen, gone up by about 80%. And you all know how the police also stepped up their enforcement activity. Put together, I think collectively we have made what it takes to position ourselves to bring down these figures. And I believe that in the coming months or years, we are going to do more to bring it down further.
Well, Joseph Akabile joins me in studio with a breakdown of the latest provisional results from the National Road Safety Authority for 2022. That's the first quarter, amongst others. What does it look like?
And so there were 6,472 cases of road traffic crashes that were recorded from January to May 2022. 1,140 persons were killed in these crashes, while 6,622 others sustained various degrees of injuries. A further analysis reveals the Greater Accra region, Ashanti and Eastern contributed about 76.32% of the crashes and 55.72% of deaths. And comparatively, there's some good news when you compare data from this year to the same period last year. And so reported cases have dropped by 4.67%. In terms of persons who suffered injuries, also dropped by 5%. Pedestrian knockdowns also by 4.94%, while persons killed also dropped significantly by close to 9%. So guess what? Motorcycles involved in crashes experienced the highest decrease of 13.1%.
Okay, more reason why you ought to drive safe, and we need you alive. Now, I'll turn our attention back to health, and this time experts have been calling for a review of the country's COVID-19 safety protocols. This has come up as the cases continue to rise. The experts attribute this to the relaxed protocols and our vaccination drive. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor John Japong, at an earlier lecture predicted worse if we do not ramp up our vaccination drive.
For those of us with very low vaccination coverage, it is very probable that we may have higher infection rates, more severe illness, more hospitalization, and even more deaths, as shown by this graph that I showed to you earlier. In my opinion, we are not out of the woods yet in view of our low vaccination coverage, and we need to ramp up on this in order to make progress.
That's Professor John Japong there at an earlier lecture. He's the Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences. Meanwhile, Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, has urged countries not to renege in their quest in curtailing COVID-19.
The global decline in reported COVID-19 cases and deaths is continuing. Reported cases and deaths have now both fallen more than 90% from their peaks earlier this year. This is a very welcome trend. Still, more than 3 million cases were reported to WHO last week. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to these numbers. There is no acceptable level of deaths from COVID-19. When we have the tools to prevent, detect, and treat these diseases, we now take them for granted. But for many people around the world, these tools remain scarce commodities.
He's also called for an emergency meeting of member states to assess the impact of the monkeypox virus on nations and how its spread can be curtailed.
WHO's goal is to support countries to contain transmission and stop the outbreak with tried and tested public health tools. It's also essential to increase awareness of risks and actions to reduce onward transmission for the most at-risk groups, including men who have sex with men and their close contacts. We have also published interim guidance on the use of smallpox vaccines for monkeypox. WHO does not recommend mass vaccination against monkeypox. WHO is also working with partners and experts from around the world on changing the name of monkeypox virus, its clades, and the disease it causes.
That's the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. Let's check our statistics or our figures when it comes to COVID-19, how it looks like. Fred Smith, what do we know?
Well, the data for June 13 has been released, and in this we had 141 persons contracting COVID on that day. 98 of that 141 happened in the Greater Accra region, with Korle Klote, Accra Central, Ayawaso West, Adenta, Okankwe North, Tema, Ablekuma Central, Ayawaso East, La Dadekotopon, and Shai Osudoku, all recording cases. In the Eastern region, there were 7 cases, and all of that came from the New Jabin South municipality. And in the Ashanti region, Kumasi had 24, Ofori Krom with 8, Kwadaso 2, Efija Kwabre North with 1. The other case, only other case came from Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. And here's how our situation is looking like. Now we have less persons with severe COVID. That's 8. And we have 1 person who is in critical condition. No one has died yet the whole of this year.
Okay, thanks to that. We're grateful. That's Fred Smith. We'll stay a while longer on health. And President Akufo-Addo says his government is committed to building a robust and resilient health sector for the country as he commissions the second phase of the University of Ghana Medical Center. The $217 million project, which started in 2019, is now set to receive referrals and other complicated cases. Commissioning the project a while ago, the president said that health deficit identified during the peak of the coronavirus pandemic forced government to commit resources to the project.
It is no secret that my government had to navigate several hurdles to ensure the successful completion of the project, despite it going beyond its planned schedule. I'm pleased that we have now before us a magnificent hospital with ultra-modern facilities for healthcare delivery. It is indeed the first of its kind in Ghana and in West Africa. The University of Ghana Medical Center's mainstay is to deliver health care at the subspecialist or quaternary level, and thus play a pivotal role in managing complicated referrals from tertiary and regional hospitals within the country.
Well, Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Meno is hopeful the facility can now attend to all manner of cases and encourage those who seek medical attention abroad to patronize the medical center.
A lot of resources are sunk by people flying outside the shores of Ghana for medical treatment. And the completion of this project will go a long way in solving complex medical problems, thus saving lives and resources for the nation. Besides, COVID-19 has taught this nation a great lesson to strengthen our hospitals to handle emergencies and complicated cases in country. There is still a long way to go in achieving the desired specialist facilities that this country deserves. But the government is not resting on its oars. We have come a long way in building our healthcare infrastructure through successive governments, but the gap remains huge and needs to be filled. It therefore hopes to receive referrals from tertiary and our regional hospitals.
We can also hear from the medical director at the University of Ghana Medical Center, Dr. Darius Kofiose, who says a lot more is needed to make the facility fully functional.
You agree with me that establishing a quaternary center is a Herculean task. And so as we gear ourselves towards provision of quaternary services, we need to be resourced with requisite infrastructure and equipment, and to be able to deliver more sub-specialized services. We are therefore need support in the following areas. We need an helipad near the main security post to assist us in the evacuation of trauma cases to boost the efforts of medical tourism. A setting up of radiotherapy center for cancer treatment. A 50-bed infectious disease center, as the pandemic made it obvious that it was not the best to needlessly expose other vulnerable patients to infectious diseases by holding all categories of patients in the same wards.
This is the Midday News. We are live on Joy 99.7 FM in Kumasi. It's on Love 99.5 FM. I'll take you there shortly, where the Defense and Interior Committee is set to meet the Islamic SHS teacher who is said to have been brutalized. Our top story so far, though, nationwide shortage of polio vaccines as health facilities are unable to vaccinate babies since the last 2 months. We'll be hearing from the Ghana Health Service subsequently. And then also when we return, we have sports, and then minority MPs allege that the Electoral Commission is planning to use the Ghana card as voters register protester as they pushed for the NIA to brief Parliament on the registration process. We have our daddy code also.
Happy Father's Day to you. You see, sometimes a woman knows how to go about everything, but me, I'm a man, so it's not easy. But it's all fun. Happy Father's Day to every man when they do everything for the family.
Yama Wakwaba, but Aquaba Magic Busia, brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Chiao, our DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Aquaba Magic Busia, Eddie Nidia Ghanaian programs mu Baufi, a bit said to have and to hold, and Yom Senior Cassia series and a talk show, Bemoaka TV set Nichi, Aquaba Magic Busia, our DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cedis per and Go TV value to your 25 Ghana cedis per Ebusia Aquaba.
Thanks for choosing us. Let's do sports.
Emefa, on Thursday, Ghana's national 100-meter record holder Benjamin Azamate finished fourth in the Diamond League with a time of 10.15 seconds. He will be back to the tracks this weekend, and he's been speaking about his desire to improve his times.
I think it was a good competition for me, I wanted to come out here to just feel the experience. Going into the big meet, that's the World Championship. I feel I had a slow reaction, and everybody could see that. And I think that caused everything. But I'm going to work on it. I think the false start or whatever, the fallback messed me up a little bit. But overall, I got fourth. I think it's good. I mean, now I have a feel of how it is. So on to the next. I'm going to Paris next, and I feel like I'm going to do well.
Hopefully, he does well there as he builds up to the World Athletics Championship next month.
We wish him all the best. So let me take you to Parliament, where the minority there are alleging that the Electoral Commission has plans of using the Ghana card as a voter's ID heading into the 2024 elections. Parliamentary correspondent Kwikwa Sante joins us with more on this. Did the minority provide any evidence to back this claim? Hello, Kwikwa Sante.
Deputy ranking member on the Communications Committee raised the issue. It was a bit of a surprise because the issue on the discussion was the business statement for next week. As when he raised it, the majority leader said he was a bit surprised. In fact, he did not provide any answers to it, except to assure that they will try and arrange for the NIA to brief the House. But also, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, also raised the same issue and said it's very important that all eligible Ghanaians get the card so that if the EC is planning to use this card as the voters register for 2024, then all Ghanaians will not be disenfranchised.
Well, we know that members of the Communications Committee, Sam George, for instance, pushed for the House to, as a matter of urgency, bring the National Identification Authority to answer questions. Did they agree on that, and when is that happening?
So the majority leader, State Chairman Sabonsu, could not schedule them for next week because the plan for next week is already done. But the promise he made was that the Business Committee is going to deliberate on the specific issue and try and bring the NIA, the Communications Minister, as well as the Interior Minister to brief the House on how Ghanaians are getting a card.
Thank you very much. That's Kweku Asante there. Speaking of parliamentary committees, the Defense and Interior Committee is currently in the Ashanti region over the Islamic SHS protests and alleged brutalities. Well, the 40-year-old teacher has been recounting how he was battered by a crowd control police detail to maintain law and order during that protest. And Kofi Entry, an English teacher, says he was humiliated in front of his students, detained and denied access to hospital after a policeman hit his head several times with the butt of his gun. They are there on a fact-finding mission. But on Monday, we'll bring you our latest in our Total Recall series that focuses on the men's gold story. Nearly 3 years since the prosecution of its founder, Nana Apia Mensah, aka Nam1, commenced, customers continue to bear the brunt of not having access to their locked-up funds. Here's what to expect.
To unfreeze our companies and my personal bank account and assets for us to utilize these as vehicles to get productive in order to meet our liabilities.
The prosecutor just went there. As soon as he got to the court now, my lord, Oliver Twist asked for more. So we are asking for more. Then the judge said, Maya, I've given you 16th May. Come back to the court. I mean, we are dealing with people who are dying.
I nearly hung myself. I did it cry because that is my life.
If even I'm able to get half of this money, my brother, I'll start a new life because it's tough. It's tough.
That's what to expect come Monday is our Men's Gold. That's our Total Recall series, and we're starting with Men's Gold. Now, Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Kweku Kwarteng, says government must take urgent steps to ensure that it only spends within its financial means. This, he explains, is a more sustainable approach to the current economic woes rather than seeking an IMF bailout.
That we misbehave ourselves, we misbehave the fiscal, we go for an IMF program. Once they are here, they gave a certain optics that we would be disciplined, and therefore the investors appear to have some elevated confidence. The IMF will leave you after 2 years, 3 years, then the misbehavior starts again. And by misbehavior, I am talking about a country that is living beyond our means. I think this is the time to demonstrate to the whole world. As Ghanaians, we are capable of looking at our situation and saying that the things we are doing that keeps pushing us to the IMF, we will stop doing them, because if we continue like this, a time is going to come when even going for an IMF program would not give you the credibility you want. The investors would know that this is how you have always behaved, and that the IMF programs have not produced the kind of internal ability to deal with your fiscal that is required. So we should never attempt this. I will be very unhappy if government decides to go for an IMF program, because I don't think it will be helpful.
That's the Chairman of Finance Committee of Parliament, Kweku Kwarteng, there speaking to George Riafe on PM Express Business Edition. Now, government is making yet another push to tackle the youth unemployment situation in the country with the ambitious Youth Start program. Under the scheme, a total of about 1 million jobs are expected to be created. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in the 2022 budget said government had allocated some 10 billion cedis for the project ahead of the full takeoff of the scheme. The National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program has been sensitizing stakeholders on the process for the project. There's more in this report.
Speaking at the stakeholders engagement on Thursday, CEO of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Kofi Ufusun-Kansa, gave details of the initiative.
Through NEIP, Ghana Enterprise Agency, and then we also have another model with the banks. That's the commercial model, where a chunk of the resources will be pushed to. About 70% of the funds will be going through the banks under the commercial model. Government is serving as guarantee for this facility, and the banks will also have their own terms and conditions, but it's going to be very flexible terms. That aside, NEIPGEA is going to implement the District Entrepreneurship Program, which is a social one for all youth between 18 years and 40 years. We will do our screening, make sure they qualify for whatever business activity they are applying for.
Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Pius Hajide, hopes the Youth Start program would create more opportunities for the youth. According to him, the initiative is a build-up from the previous youth employment intervention programs.
There have been some interventions in times past geared at resolving that problem, and some argue that they appear to be quite unsuccessful. I think that lessons have been learned from the earlier programs, and the Youth Start, to all intents and purposes, is a better package as far as we are concerned, because we have reviewed programs of the past and we are comparing it to the Youth Start in its current form.
The Youth Start program, which is funded by the Electronic Transfer Levy, is expected to create at least 1 million jobs to address the country's youth unemployment situation, which currently stands at 12%. Mausi Numon's report for Joy News.
And it's time to talk about our fathers. It's almost here, and it's the Joy Daddy Code. Today, we're focusing on single fathers, and they've been telling Joy News of how they carry on the task of childcare with pride. They say despite the societal notion that childcare is a domain for women, performing the role of a father or mother is gratifying. One of them is Stevie Naka. He spoke to us.
Daddies, them say all we do is to run away from the babies. Daddies, every day we do this and that.
It's joy. It's great to be a father, even though sometimes it's very tedious, very difficult. But when I bring them out to bath them, you see, sometimes a woman knows how to go about everything, but me, I'm a man. So when I call them, sometimes they like joking a lot, and sometimes when you talk to them, the way I am with them, so they feel they are comfortable. So even when I'm serious, it's not easy to take care of 2 children, but it's all fun.
Happy Father's Day.
We continue to wish you a happy Father's Day. It's in 2 days, but you can still join the campaign by sharing photos of some of those amazing moments with your children. You can WhatsApp to 055-1111-997. And that's it for the Midday News for today. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com, and we're told that Afram Plains has recorded monkeypox cases, and Tema Motorway fully reopened to traffic, police announces, and he only asked for additional time. Majority Leader Defense Oforiata. That and more, myjoyonline.com. Living Word is up next with Pastor Mensa Otabel. I am Emefa Apawu. Enjoy the weekend.
Hello, please, am I speaking to Miss Joanna Kuma?
Yes, please.
My name is Philip and I'm calling from MTN. Someone has just sent you money and we will need you to enter your PIN number so that we can put the money in your account.
Hey,
oh dada, MTN will never ask you for your PIN. Never reveal your PIN to anyone under any circumstances. And if you are not sure, always check the number. MTN will only call you with a dedicated number, 0244 300,000. Stay safe, stay vigilant. MTN.